worth billions in sports. The sports professor, Rick Horrow, joins Rock and Manooch on Fox Sports 910.
You're live.
Rick Horrow now on the Roy Twitter guest sign. Rock Manooch, Jimmy B with us, with him, I should say now, on Fox Sports 910. All right, Rick, nothing going on, huh, in college sports? Nothing on the business side to talk about?
Well, congratulations. I guess Arizona and Arizona State are going to play each other, 8 times, and then maybe Oregon and Washington State play each other 3 times, and then they play each other in the finals. I hate the position that Ray Anderson is in now. He's very competent, very intelligent, politically savvy, but you can do so much when you've got a hand that has no TV contract you're dealt with.
Do you expect us to hear something in regards to that? Because last week, the commissioner in the Pac-12 said this isn't the time and place to do it, and then he loses Colorado 3 days later.
Well, it was the time and it was the place, and apparently we all heard the rumor that Washington and Oregon are convening emergency meetings like today.
Yes.
So you may have the Pac-4, maybe the Pac-4.5, maybe the Pac-5. I don't know. Northern Arizona, the Pac-6, Kingman State, Pac-7. So, who knows what's going to happen? It's conference musical chairs round 2. And I know Brett Yormark, he's a very competent individual. I know from Barclays Center way, way, way back when. He and his twin brother, Michael was doing the Panthers. And Brett's doing very well for himself in a very short period of time. And he took a job that was very difficult. Remember when the Pac-12 job opened up, what did they face? They faced Oklahoma and Nebraska leaving. Mm-hmm. So now, Texas. Now look what's happening. Yeah, not Nebraska.
Yeah, you're right about Brett. He's gained a lot of credibility quickly. And for them to deliver Colorado, and there's going to be 1 or maybe 3 more schools. And if that is the case, who do you think those other schools would be?
You mean from the Big 12 perspective?
Yeah.
I don't know. Watch. Do you watch Utah?
Yes.
And then if you watch Utah, do you watch Utah State? There are a lot of issues, and they're not TV darlings, but they're rivals. Mm-hmm. And then I'm assuming that Washington and Oregon are having those conversations right now. And if you're big enough, then you have conference divisional championships, which make them look like a big boy. So it'll be fairly dynamic. It's not only going to be the SEC that's going to have 48 teams, and then the ACC having another 12. The Big 12 and the Big 10, they're going to matter.
I agree with you 100%. How did the Pac-12 get left in the dust? Was it Larry Scott that just ran it into the ground and Kliavkoff just could not move fast enough to turn it around? How did that all happen?
Well, I guess some people could argue that, but it's circumstances. Larry Scott has been a very capable administrator, WTA and otherwise. So it all happens overnight. I think a lot of it has to do with that gambling of the West Coast dynamic package. ESPN dangles it. There's not enough money in it. It's a giant poker game, and a lot of it deals with total eyeballs. The beginning of the dominoes that nobody could have anticipated 3 years ago. If you would have said, do you really think that Southern Cal and UCLA are going to bolt to go to the Big 12, Big 10? It's silly. Geographically, it doesn't work. Well, forget that. That doesn't matter anymore. And then everybody is, in their long-term business plans, when everybody hires a consultant to look at all the different scenarios, I find it hard-pressed to look at what scenario was USC and UCLA leaving. It might have been scenario number like 40. And so that kind of began the uncertainty, and you could argue they'd never recovered.
Rick, do you think a lot of it when they looked at the potential package in the Pac-12, which included maybe 3 or 4 people rumored, the Amazons, the Apples, the Hulus, all the above, that when the Colorados of the world and maybe a few others looked at that and said, look, we still want some traditional solid background with the CBSs and ESPNs and Foxes, that might have said, hey, look, that's our cue to move on because we don't want to have that streaming be reliable. And that was only an iffy scenario at best a couple weeks ago.
Well, that's a good point. That is a really good point. But, part of the streaming cynicism is how the money is laid out. The whole Apple TV MLS thing is kind of instructive. They feel like they've got a gold mine because of Messi, who's been amazing in 2 games. But let's remember, from the MLS perspective, that money, that's not guaranteed. That's all speculative. Now, they may get a lot of that money, even more than they thought, but it's hard to plan when you don't have TV rights fee guarantees that bankers will then use as collateral for other stuff, like facilities and training areas and things you need for your athletic program. So the streaming piece is important, but it's also limited by how much the streaming services either are able or are willing to pay up front and guarantee.
All right. You and your South Florida stuff, Rick. I read your book this past week on vacation when the game is on the line.
Which one?
The one.
It took you like 12 years?
Well, I sent you the second one. The second one. When the game is on the line, too. You got 2 of them. The second one.
Yeah, I did.
I did. I had no idea.
I sent you the remedial edition.
Yes.
The one with the big words.
Yeah, because Manucci and I were hoping to get in there. I didn't see us anywhere.
Did you have pictures in that too, so I can understand?
No, dude.
Because of him, there's a 2-syllable limit, and Manucci is 3, 4 syllables.
I got to tell you guys, and I'm being totally honest, and I love Rick, as you guys know. Yeah. This book is absolutely amazing what he has had his hands involved in. He brought sports to South Florida, and how he got it and how it all went down it's amazing. You can't put the book down, and how it relates to Phoenix and the amphitheater here and everything. And Rick, that's guy when and then why I bring this up because you brought up Messi. You had nothing to do with Messi going there, just so you know. I know that, but Messi, you said Messi. You said
take credit for it.
No, of course you do. I saw that in the book a lot. When it comes to Messi, come on. You said had 2 great games. He's playing against high school kids in the MLS. Come on. It's not a competition. Oh, it's not relevant.
Is that relevant? I mean, hey.
Come on.
That
2 minutes.
Given your advanced age, you couldn't even see the goal that he scored that big kick out at the end of it. That was that bending in the left-hand corner like that.
Oh, great shot. Yeah.
But now here's the thing. In South Florida now it will be a discussion about whether that new stadium that you know from reading the book, how hard it is to build stadiums down here. And there is a soccer stadium committed for a 20,000 seater. I think many people think, all right, let's suspend that negotiation. Go to Steve Ross, talk to the Hard Rock people and see if you want to play your games in a 60,000 seat stadium because Messi may be that important. Whether he's a man among boys, there are a lot of people that will do anything to follow him.
One thing too, Rick, and this isn't about your book, but if you are coming in town and we can get you to sit in for an hour, some of the stories, the one with Jack Nicklaus and trying to buy the Minnesota Vikings, that is an amazing story. And the golf and the tennis and everything else, and I would love to sit down with you and us and have our listeners hear it because. I got to tell you, Rick, man, the last book I may have read was Mice and Men. I don't know. I mean, I haven't read a book in a long time.
50 years ago.
So, I mean, it's amazing what happens when you read a book.
I'm in rare company. Mice, Men, and Rick. They're three super authors that are involved in that stuff. That's really good, man. I like that very much. That's fun. No, I'll definitely do it. By the way, table of contents in that book. Most of those people are either dead or in jail. To give you an idea of who's in when the game is on the line. But obviously, it's all true. It's all true.
It's amazing.
So, cool.
And when and by the way, real quick, last one, the amphitheater that you're referring to in Phoenix. Which one was that?
Well, it was going to be when Jeff Buffman came in town, we looked at a number of different ideas, and we went from one place to another. We were looking originally at near Sky Harbor, which wouldn't work for an amphitheater right near an airport.
Yeah.
But then near the golf course north of the city, so Phoenix Country Club, we were looking West Valley, and even then it was like, no, nobody's going to go out there, especially people who will go to concerts and amphitheaters. We were looking at the Point. We were looking at where the Mariners used to train. Do they still train down there?
Yeah.
I think it's the Angels.
Peoria,
Diablo.
Yeah.
Diablo?
Oh, yeah. It's Angels. Yep. Diablo. Tempe.
Yeah. The Point. The Buttes. So there were a lot of different locations for that, but it was amazing. The teams that came to Phoenix and the teams that came to South Florida, the time frames for that were pretty similar because they made the big population leaps at about the same time. That's when commissioners said, all right, let's load up on the Southeast or let's load up on the Southwest. So.
Interesting. Well, good stuff. I mean, this wasn't about promoting your book, because the book's been out for a while, but
no, I'll
bigger story is me reading one. So I think that's the storyline.
Yeah, that Mice Men and Rick, and then you tell me that I shouldn't take credit for Messi. I'm doing that all over again.
Yeah. We love you, Rick. Thanks, buddy.
All right, man. I'll talk to you next week.
It's Rick Horrow. You can watch him on Roku as well. The Icons. He's on just about once or twice a week. You see it. So he has his own show and multiple shows. But no BS, guys. I'm not even done it.
I got to read the book.
I got a couple, so
okay.
I got one for you.
Sure, appreciate
to
that.
read. But it's one city after another, and the storylines. The one about Jack Nicklaus, trying to buy.
Interesting.
The Bear, trying to buy the Minnesota Vikings.
That's
wow. I mean, and it's an ongoing chapter. I mean, it's long, but what he did in South Phoenix or South Florida and some other markets that he was involved in, it's remarkable to know that he was pretty instrumental on University of Phoenix Stadium with the Cardinals too. He has some stories that he could tell us with Michael Bidwell. And picking him up at the airport and things like that. So we'll get him in for an hour and just because I think it's just mind-boggling what goes on behind the scenes.
Yes, yeah.
And one thing that is consistent in all of his stories is the politics.
Oh yeah,
are so difficult to get through.
Yep.
So anyway, are we at break or?
Yeah, we are.
All right, we'll do that next. All right, we got.